Now here's another example. To make this object in one piece at one time, it would be kind of tedious, but Solid Tools makes it a lot easier. And actually this object is made up of all these pieces, and I just use Solid Tools to put them together. So let's take a look at how we can do that. Here I've got the start of it, and this is just going to be using subtract. I'll subtract this from the curved object, the arc there, and then I'll go back to subtract, and I'll subtract this block from that. Now I have that little keyhole shape. A lot of times we're doing subtract or trim with our Solid Tools. Here's an example where we're actually going to use split. Now to make this curved area where this object curves to meet the flat plate, I'm actually going to use a separate piece where it has this curved fillet, and I'm going to take two of these and I'll move them down. And these are in position. Now, if I don't want to use subtract, what I want to have is where these overlap is going to be the corner that joins them together. So we're going to use split. I've already got them selected. I can just go right to split, and I'll show you what we have left. If I take this piece and move it up, you see that it has the opening there. That opening is this little piece, the little triangular piece. I'll move this one out of the way as well. And here's that little corner piece, and so we're going to need that. And we're going to want to get rid of the pieces on the end here. I can make another solid object and use that to remove the end piece here. I'm going to push this down and it's going to turn inside out, but that's okay with solids. It doesn't matter if it's inside out. I'll make this a group, and I'm going to go turn on X-ray. Now I'm going to take this area off of this piece. We're using the Solid Tools. This is going to be subtracted from this. And now it has trimmed that off. I'll do the same thing here on the other end. I'm making a box. I'm using that object as a template to draw on top of. And this way I can be sloppy, and as long as it's large enough to overlap the object that I'm trimming. Here, if I turn on X-ray, you can see it's going to trim this end off of this piece that I've selected. And I'll pick my trimming object. Oop, that needs to be a group. Subtract it from that. Now we're left with where we want these to be, but we have three separate objects, and this is a job for union or outer shell. Either one in this case, because there are no inner objects. So we'll do outer shell, and that gets rid of our line. And now we have the curve that goes down to the plate. Now let's take a look at the corners. I'll move this object down to cut out of the corner. And instead of making 4 objects, I'll just use this one object 4 times. So this is going to be a trim. I'll trim that one from the plate. Then I'll use flip to move this over. So there it has trimmed out. Whoop, there it has trimmed out. And I have used flip to flip it over to this side. I'll do trim again. Not sure if that one worked. It did not. I trimmed the opposite way. Undo. Oh, I split. I didn't trim. That's what it was. Trim U from U. And then we're going to flip again. And I'm going to flip these to the other side. trim again, and then flip one more time. And I'm dragging my flip plane to the midpoint, flipping around the midpoint. Now I can use subtract if I want. Okay, we can do the same thing with our slots. Move that down. We can use trim to trim that out of the plate, and then flip to flip it to the other side. And we can just continue on that way until we have all our slots. So here we have all the slots cut. And the last step I'm going to do, I want to combine these objects, but I also want to make a little hex bolt here, at least the head of the bolt. So let's do, combining these objects is going to be union or outer shell. Here, I'll do union. Now we still have the lines here, and we can use soften smooth edges to soften those lines. Now we have a nice smooth curve. Now let's make our hex bolt, okay? We're going to start with a polygon, and we'll make two shapes to cut into the top. What we have is this hexagon that has a cut in it that is at an angle. So this would be a difficult thing to make from scratch, but using solid tools makes it much easier. So I'll show you how I did it. I'm going back over here. This is going to be just freehand, so no measurements, but I'm going to draw a polygon. Start at the middle, make it about yay big. Now I'll pull it up, make it a group. And I'll move it just to the middle so we can have a little bit of room to work on it. Now, I need two cylinders. So I'm going to make a circle. I'm using inferencing to find the middle of my hexagon. My cylinder is going to be the same size. Let's see, I want you to be a little smoother, so I'll make more segments. Let's go with 48. And then we can go to push-pull. I'll pull that up about yay far. And now this wants to be a group. And I'm going to use move, and I'm going to copy and make another one up above. And we'll just put that one up there for now. Now, in order to make that angle that goes around the hexagon, I need a cone shape that goes up into the cylinder. So I'm going to use this one, I'll make into a cone and cut it into the bottom of this cylinder. I can use the scale tool. I'll edit this group. I can scale the circle on the top. And I'm going to hit Option to scale it toward the center. Now I have my cone shape. And I can drop this cylinder down. So it's on top of that cone. Here's X-ray mode, and you can see we're going to go this way. There's the cone. You know what? I'll move over this. I'll move all of this over so we can see it more easily. Okay, cylinder here, cone, and then hexagon on the bottom. So I'm going to pick the cone. I can see the top of the cone right here. I pick the cone, I'll go to subtract, Then I'll go to the cylinder. It has subtracted from the cone. Again, I'll use X-ray, but now this is all one piece. And I can use the move tool. I'm going to move this down so it will cut into our hexagon. Let's see, I want it to be about that far. And now I can use subtract again. Again, here's the hexagon. Has not been cut. I'll use subtract this inverted cone object from my hexagon, and now I have a hex bolt head. And I can move that guy back. And now we're on our way to making our hinge plate object. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Michael Bourne. Learn faster at SketchUp Rocket Fuel.